taking photos, and put your camera on a sports or an action setting. It's going to make them turn out just a little bit more clear. We're moving out there, and so are the animals. But we are going to get started. Once again, my name's Chad. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But we have entered the Harambe Wildlife Reserve with the Little Ituri Forest. Animals here, they have a much more natural color, which allows them to blend in with their surroundings very easily. Right off the bat, over to the left-hand side, you'll see the greater kudu, the second tallest antelope in the world. Over on the right-hand side, the dark brown animal with zebra striping, that is the okapi. It's the most reclusive animal of the forest. Wasn't seen by Western civilization until 1901. Up until then, it was thought to be a complete myth, only heard of in African folklore. It is not related to the zebra. It's the only known relative of the giraffe. As we take this corner, on the left side, you'll see a few of the same animal. They are all bongo. They're copper-colored animals. They're known as the ghosts of the forest just because they're not really seen all that often. But we are now coming around a watering hole. They're very important out here in the wild. They kind of work as a social gathering place for animals. One of the many known inhabitants of the area are black rhinos, but unfortunately there are less than 3,000 left in the whole world. This is due to poachers. They hunt them for their horns. Fantastic view of the black rhino right there on the left. Can weigh up to 3,500 pounds and run at 30 miles an hour.
Which is 1 mile an hour faster than Usain Bolt.
Yeah, they do like to roll in the mud.
Storks though.
One of those things I forgot to mention is an animal spotting guide. If you look up above your heads, there is one to help you find all the animals out here on the reserve. We're not going to see all of them, and unfortunately we can't stop because there's so many for all of them, but hopefully you will have some pretty good luck. Over here on the left, the saddle-billed stork is the tallest stork in all of Africa. It stands about 5 feet tall with a wingspan of roughly 9 feet, which is about the width of this truck. But that is it for the Ituri Forest. So we're going to head on over to the Safi River. We're going to see what we can find. But I must warn you, the rivers of Africa, they do tend to get a little bit crazy sometimes.
Squeaky suspension.
What you're going to be looking for here are dark spots in the water, or just really big hippos.
Ducks.
If you don't see anything right away, don't worry, remember to stay seated. I'm sure we'll get another chance up here just around the river bend. But hippos, they can stay completely submerged under the water 8 minutes at a time. They're also nocturnals. They're much more active during the evening hours, eating roughly 150 pounds of grass and vegetation nightly. The big white birds over on the left are pink-backed pelican. Very smart, share their food, they hunt together. Get their names during mating season, they get a pink spot on their back. I know y'all want to see some hippos, so how about a whole group of them? That's called a float. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Contrary to popular belief, hippos are excellent swimmers. They just sometimes choose to walk along the bottom of the more shallow waters. Like I said, they are nocturnal, so it's not really the active time right now. They're just coming into what would be our nighttime. Old rickety bridge. I'm not really worried about the bridge. I'm actually more worried about the Nile crocodile that live beneath. So make sure you do stay seated, because they can get up to 20 feet in length. Have a jaw-crushing force of just a little over 2,000 pounds per square inch, which is more than enough to crush bone. If you ever see them hanging out, their mouths open, I do need everybody seated, please. If their mouths are open, they're not trying to scare you. They're just trying to cool themselves down. They are cold-blooded, so they'll push out the warm air and it'll cool down their bodies. And they can stay underwater up to 2 hours at a time. But as we leave the Safi River, we are going to enter a completely different ecosystem. Hopefully here we'll get a chance to see some different kinds of animals and wildlife. And speaking of different, coming up over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see a tree. But it's not just any tree, it is the baobab tree. It stays leafless 9 months out of the year, stores all of its water inside the trunk for extended periods of drought. A lot of locals here, they like to refer to it as the upside down tree because it kind of looks like the roots are on the top. But we are now in the savannah. Right up here is probably one of the best views on the whole reserve because you can see pretty much everything. Serengeti grasslands like this, They stretch over hundreds of miles of Africa. Kind of work as a migratory superhighway for those animals on the move. It's also home to many of the more well-known animals like giraffe, elephants, cheetah, lions. I'm sure we'll get a chance to see at least a few of them in the coming days. But the landscaping here, it's done by none other than the animals themselves. Elephants act as bulldozers and use their tusks to knock over the trees. Giraffe are like pruning shears and eat the leaves off the trees, which allows natural sunlight in and lets the grass grow green and wild. When the grass is really healthy, the antelope, zebra, wildebeest, and warthogs, they all love to eat it. It's all part of a perfectly balanced ecosystem in which there is more than enough food for everyone. Alright, so up here on the left, you'll see the Patterson's eland. The eland is the largest of the antelope. Males can weigh up to 2,000 pounds and stand up to 6 feet tall at the shoulders alone. And throughout the reserve, you'll be seeing these giant orange mounds and towers everywhere. They are termite mounds. They're hard as concrete. Elephants, they like to use them as back scratching posts, while antelope will often use them as lookout towers. Coming up over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see these little light brown animals. They're called springbok. They only weigh about 100 pounds fully grown, but they do have the ability to spring 10 to 11 feet off the ground. Hence their name, springbok.
This is South African vegetarian.
But you can definitely tell when giraffe have been in an area, because if you look at all the leaves on the trees, they are all at the same level. Giraffes spend about 16 hours a day eating, and about 30 minutes to an hour of sleeping. If you look up on the left, you'll actually see a reticulated giraffe. Reticulated comes from the Latin word reticulata, meaning net. It's in reference to their net-like pattern. They're a little bit larger of the giraffe size, stand about 18 to 20 feet tall. Now if you look closely, a little bit more to the right, you will see a baby giraffe. When a baby's born, it's already 6 feet tall. Unfortunately, I'm unable to stop next to the baby giraffe just because it's so new to the reserve that we don't want to spook them with the truck. I will go slowly, so have those cameras ready. Hopefully we'll get a better view up ahead. There we go, perfect. Yes. He was just born a little under 2 months ago. Or 3 months ago, sorry. What I've discovered is if you take a picture of a baby giraffe and it's not standing next to anything else, it's just going to look like a regular giraffe because they're already so large. For the most part, the baby giraffe are getting a little more brave. They like to venture off, but once they realize that mom's not next to them, usually you'll see them sprinting across the savannah. It's pretty entertaining because they don't really know how to run very well. Over here on the right, this is the white-bearded wildebeest, also known as gnu, spelled G-N-U. It's a low grunting sound they make. And then the cattle with the giant horns, those are Ankole cattle, also known as Watusi, named by the Watusi tribe. Their giant horns are symmetrical, get up to 6 feet tip to tip. Mostly hollow and used to circulate blood flow in order to regulate their body temperature. They are also the only domesticated animal that's been seen out here on the reserve so far. Now if you look up on the left, you'll see some Maasai giraffe. They're a little bit smaller in size. They stand about 16 feet tall. They have more of a jagged edge pattern that goes from their nose and all the way down to their toes. But keep an eye out for another baby because there are 2 out here. I'm not sure if we're going to see him or not, but he's really short.
There, he's up by the trees.
Up by the trees up there? You guys can pay attention to giraffe, I'll pay attention to the road, so yeah, I figured that might be a good thing to do. Well, we're going to start making our way over towards elephant country. Now, in order to get there, we do have to cross through Monkey Point, which is a known home for mandrills. They are Africa's largest monkey. Males, they tip the scale at about 100 pounds. Females, they only weigh 30s. There's a significant difference in size between the two. They are also the world's most colorful monkey, but not confused with the baboon. an eye out for those mandrills over here on the left. Sometimes they do like to hang out in the more shaded areas a little bit further back. Let's see.
It's for Fiji.
After about 15 years of age, an elephant's childhood is considered over. Male elephants are also kicked out of the herd because they are too aggressive to be around the young at 12,000 pounds. That is 6 tons, and makes them the world's largest land mammal. And you may notice this road closed sign up here on the right. Well, a few weeks ago there was a truck full of tourists. They went over a bridge and, well, we are still looking for them, but Hakuna Matata, it's no worries. I really don't understand what's with this place and scary bridges, but unfortunately there is no other way across, so we're just going to have to take it nice and slow. Hopefully I'll see you on the other side. Just doesn't sound good. The front tires are good so the driver is safe, but alright, now everybody else is good. We are going to be entering an area known as the Red Clay Pits. It is a very popular hangout spot for elephants. They like to use their tusks to dig into the clay and they'll eat it for essential minerals. You'll see those tusk markings on both sides. But there are currently scientists that are studying the vocalization patterns in elephant communication. The more we understand them, the better we can do to help them. It's all part of this wild Africa that we're trying to conserve. Sadly, humans are the #1 threat to elephants. This is due to poachers. They hunt them for their ivory tusks. Both males and females have them, and growing them at 3 to 5 years of age. For any reason, naturally or not, they lose one or both of their tusks, they're not going to grow back. They don't have the ability, and it can be a disadvantage in certain situations. But I will pick up a little bit of a radio station out here, so go ahead, sit back, relax, enjoy.
They're not morning creatures, but there are indeed ducks. Maybe it's elephants in disguise as a duck. Flamingo, giraffe, flamingo, giraffe.
This is another one of the reticulated giraffe over here on the right.
Probably fed up with the sight of the trucks.
But we are now in white rhino territory.
Huh?
Sadly, white rhinos are once again on the endangered list. It's due to poachers. They hunt them for their horns, which are made out of keratin. It's the same stuff our fingernails are made of, and it's worth a lot of money on the black market. No, those are not white rhino over on the left. Those are bontebok. They're extinct in the wild, only can be found on reserves like this, and are a distant cousin of the wildebeest. Now, if we get a chance to see the white rhino, you will notice it's much larger than the black rhino by about 1,500 pounds. They weigh in at 5,000 pounds and can run at 35 miles an hour. There's actually some right up here on the right. We're going to try and get a better view up here.
Smile.
There's a cheetah over on the left. There's actually two of them.
Cheetah.
They're the world's fastest land mammal, traveling up to speeds of 65 miles an hour. They are not long distance runners by any means, only sprinters, and after about a quarter of a mile are extremely exhausted. You can't really see the white rhino up there. But no worries, we still got time.
I don't know if the cheetah's picked up by this or not. It is.
This right here, this is a kopie. Now, what a kopie is, it's a big area of rocks where lions like to hang out. Lions are usually inactive 18 to 20 hours in a single day. The lioness, she will do 90% of the hunting while the male stays back and watches over the pride. They are one of the only groups of animals to put their full trust and leadership into one. To a male, his mane, it takes about 8 years to fully grow in, and after that it just gets darker and darker in time. Look at that fantastic view right up there on the left. Two lioness and the lion.
Oh, you never see them.
And those white rhino over on the right, the pretty side of them, of course.
Rhino
The
bum.
Swahili word for lion is Simba. Let's see if we can get a better view of the male right up here. Watch her jump. I think she's gonna jump. Maybe not. You know, you don't get much closer to lion than this. Or you shouldn't, at least. Pretty cool.
If I said I wasn't happy, I'd be lying.
They're just lying around.
Oh, the warthog. Over on the left here, these are warthogs. They're the largest burrowing mammals. They have razor sharp tusks that they use to dig into the dirt, and then they'll back into the hole and show off those tusks to warn off predators. Some ostrich eggs down here on the left. Those white rhino, once again, are on the right. Fortunately, I can't stop for the white rhino, but zebra, a lot of people think they are white with black stripes. It's not true. They are black with white stripes. One of the ways you can tell is by looking at their nose. Also their underbellies, but don't get too close. They have enough force in their back to break the jaw of an attacking lion, which is lethal in the wild, because if you can't eat, then you can't survive.
Golden rule of the wild. Don't be a zebra.
The ostrich that you're going to see over here on the right-hand side, it's the world's largest non-flying bird. It stands at 7 feet tall. Its wings are too small, its legs are too large, it's why it can't fly, but it can run at speeds of 45 miles an hour. And we're going to head on over into a newer area of the reserve. The introduction of a new species into a new area is a very long, complicated, and stressful process for both the animals and the caretakers. So naturally, a lot of time and effort has been to a project of this size. And the Harambe Wildlife Reserve is not the only reserve in the world that's trying to expand. There are places all over trying to do the same with hopes of creating more room for the animals that we all know and love. Up here on the left-hand side are addax, spelled A-D-D-A-X. They can pretty much go their entire lives without a drink of water. They get all the water that they need from the plants that they eat, but there are so few left in the wild that they are on the brink of extinction. And the more room that there is for all of these animals, the safer that they are going to be from poachers, who are sadly still a very serious threat in the world today. Even with anti-poaching laws in effect, sometimes people just don't listen. It's pretty sad. And I don't know about you guys, but those 2 weeks flew by for me. If you'd like to continue this adventure, it does not have to end here. The village of Harambe has many things to offer, one of them being the Pangani Forest Exploration Trail. There you can see naked mole rats, meerkats, silverback gorilla, and even an underwater viewing area for hippo. If you're more interested in the scientific side of things, or you just want to see more, there's Rafiki's Planet Watch. It's about a 7-minute train ride away. It's the one and only way to get there. And with on-call veterinarians, you might even get a chance to watch a procedure from the viewing area, which is pretty cool. Not a lot of places will allow you to do that, but There's so much to do here in Africa and beyond. You just have to get out and explore. And sadly, we are now exiting the reserve and coming up on your work post here in just a moment, which is where I'll be dropping you off. Make sure that you have all of your belongings because I don't want you to forget anything. Also, make sure to check your pockets because phones, wallets, keys, and fast passes, they all have a tendency to fall out, especially with all the bumps that I was going over. If you find yourself having some extra time today, go check out the Festival of the Lion King. It's the #1 rated show on all of Disney property, and it plays every hour on the half hour over at Camp Minnie Mickey.